Hello, this is Leona Dooley, and you're with Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, and we're spending time in the kitchen. This is week 33, and this week is a rather unusual week because, number one, at the end of the week, my 4 grandchildren will be here with me and keeping me quite busy, and lots of folks to feed, parents, the works, And so during the week, we are going to just kind of have a quiet dinner every night. And also, this is our summer place. So because of that, it's about the time that we would start to pack things up and get ready to go to our main location. So we are going to, or I am going to start to try to eliminate most of the things that are in the freezer, use everything that I've purchased, and I try my best to leave both of the refrigerators as well as the freezers empty. So anything that's in there is fair game. So this week, while I have a couple of new dishes that I'm going to cook, I will also work on some of the leftovers that are in the refrigerator. I'll bring those back and try to, eliminate those and use those up because it's not enough for the whole crew with all the kids and everybody for the next 2 weeks. But it is enough for my hubby and I to be able to enjoy dinner, have a nice warm dinner, and spend time together. You can see, if you look behind me, you see the stack of buns is here, and I'm still cleaning up from this weekend's cookout. So we're going to spend some time this week just talking a little bit more about meal planning, talking about how to prepare for when you have a large group that's coming. And in this case, because it's predominantly children, they are going to want to be involved in the meal planning, which is a lot of fun. And typically, I kind of know their favorite dishes. I mean, let's face it, I'm the Mimi. So because of that, I know what they like. I know their favorites. And some of those things I've already prepped for. But we will work on a main plan. You'll notice that I did not go to the grocery early this week, and that I'm not going to go until the end of the week when they're here. They will go with me to the grocery, and if time allows, I'll take you with us for a little bit of that because it's quite an adventure. So enjoy yourself this week. Have a blessed week. Enjoy time with your family. Just love on them. Cook something warm and delicious for them and keep them at your family table. I'll see you soon. Well, we're ready for week 33 of our series, and we're moving right along through the month of August. Remember, we had our monthly meal ideas that I had put together at the end of July. And I took some of those things off of July's list that I didn't use, or some things that we really, really liked and I wanted to carry over. And I placed them onto this list of meals. If you remember, this list of meals goes down for about 28 meals, and then I allow for my Sunday dinners with friends. Now, sometimes I go ahead and just fill out the whole thing with 31 meals, but it may be that you may not have 31 meals in your repertoire. And if you remember, think back to last week's video where we talked about how to put together a full month of menu ideas. Now, I hope I'm not making you dizzy moving this around, but we'll try not to. Now, what I found is that using individual sheets of paper, typically I'll have a sheet that looks somewhat like this, and it has my time in the kitchen, it has the date a place for our grocery list as well as our menu for the week. So what I decided to do, being the planner girl that I am, I had an available Midori. And I thought what I would do so that I would really be able to go back and to take a look at the meals that I had planned, not just this season, but also I could carry them over, look at them next summer, and see some of the fun things that I had put together. So I have already started working on this week's plan. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this week and the next two. The grandkids are coming. And because of that, sometimes it's a little hard to just plan perfectly because they're running around, and because they don't have dinner with Mimi all the time, there are just certain things that they like. And so I have an idea as to what they like, but I'm not going to plan everything because I know they have been thinking about what it is that they want me to prepare. So because of that, I'm just kind of going with the flow. Now, also at the end of August, and while they're here, I'm going to be doing some transitioning. This is our summer place, and I'm going to be ready to transition back to our regular fall, winter, early spring house. And so I'm going to need to clean the refrigerator and the freezer and have all those things empty by the time the kids leave. So we're going to be really creative with whatever is left in that freezer. We're going to make it work, and we're going to finish it. Now, for this week, the big guy and I are going to have, today, we're going to have chicken cordon bleu. We still have some green bean salad that's left over from Saturday. We're going to finish that up. And I'm going to fix a little tossed salad just to give us a little something extra. Actually, I like my green bean salad over my tossed salad. So, okay, call it what you want. It's a little strange, but that's how I like it. So that's how I'm going to prepare it. For Tuesday, we're going to have pork chops, some citrus rice, and, of course, a tossed salad. Each day, I'll probably add something extra in it, depending upon what's in the pantry. If we have nuts, if we have dry fruit, whatever it is, I'll throw some of that on as well. I like pepperoncinos. I like to add those on to the salad. And you can see here that I wrote in that we're going to begin our freezer clean out. So I've got that there. Now, in my freezer, I already know that I have some leftover chicken marsala. I think will be the perfect size for just hubby and I to have for dinner. It's not enough, I don't think, for the kiddos because there's 4 of them. So I will probably have a night and finish off that chicken marsala. I also have a couple of other things that I'll put in, and I'll show you what those are as the week goes. I haven't had a chance, really. It's been a busy day. I haven't had an opportunity to go through the freezer heavy and start to put things down to eat this, that they need to be finished up for dinner. But I will do that, and I will finish out the rest of this menu plan. But I just wanted to get you started. Now, as far as I know, up until Saturday, I believe we are good. We should not need to go to the grocery. I am very sure that I will need to make a grocery run once the kiddos are here because they have particular drinks that they want. I have some of them here, but they're getting to that age where they like to go to the grocery, they like to take a grocery list, and they like to help with the grocery shopping. So on Saturday or Sunday, after dinner with friends, we'll probably go to the grocery. I'll give them my partial list, whatever that may be, and they will get to add whatever their needs are as far as the types of cereals and all those kind of things that they like to have. So while my grocery list for the moment is pretty empty, It is, in fact, it's totally empty at this point because for the first part of the week, I need absolutely nothing. But for the last part of the week, I will have to start to develop a grocery list. Now, what I'm going to try to do when I do their grocery list for actually going into week 34 next week, I am going to, on Saturday or Sunday, sit down with them. We will put the plan together for both weeks that they're here and get some ideas as to what it is that they want. I'll let them look at my ideas and then I'll let them develop theirs. And we will do one major grocery shop so that we can take care of all of that, because also during this time, I'm going to need to pack up the house and entertain them. So I'm going to be pretty busy. So just so you know, if you see a few things that you've seen during this month, remember I talked about the fact that sometimes you have leftovers, they go in the freezer, and they are for these special times when you have company coming, or you have some upcoming travel and you just don't want to leave a lot of food, then this is what you do. You try to clean out that freezer, get everything out of there, use it up, and then you're ready to go. So when you come back, you can start fresh. So without further ado, it's week 33. Hello. I am prepping today in the kitchen because actually today's meal is leftover, and so I had some other things that I needed to do. The grandkids are coming for 2 weeks to stay with us, which means lots of ripping and running, lots and lots of cooking, pretty much 3 meals a day, and so I figure the hardest of the dishes I need to do as much in advance as I possibly can. I am preparing today some biscuits, homemade biscuits, and prepping for Sunday's macaroni and cheese, because that's one of the dishes that, if nothing else, I must have macaroni and cheese. We must have homemade pizzas. We must have homemade bread. And certainly there has to be fried chicken somewhere along the way. Now, fried chicken's going to be later on next week. But for Sunday, we're going to start out with we will have macaroni and cheese. Remember that turkey I had planned about a week or so ago? Well, that's going to be prepared for Sunday dinner. We're going to have turkey, dressing, vegetables, macaroni and cheese, something to drink, and we're going to call it a day. That will be it. Because what happens is usually on Sunday afternoons after church, we'll go to the pool. And so we'll spend some time at the pool. So I want to have as much done as possible. In fact, I'll probably go ahead on Sunday immediately after church while they're resting and cook the macaroni so that it's taken care of. I'll have the dressing already prepared. And of course the turkey will be already baked. So we'll take care of that. So I have in my pot, I have a container of water that I have here, and I'm going to pull you down so you can see. And I have my pot of water. I'm going to put a good handful of salt in the water. And I have a 2-pound box of mac because this is a 1-pound box. So hopefully I won't have to do it again, but sometimes that happens. I have to actually make it more than once. So let me give it a little stir. I'm just going to put it on for let it cook for about 8 minutes. I don't want it soft. And in fact, I want it on the not so cooked side of al dente so that it will have time to do lots of cooking once it's in the oven with all the good cheese sauce and everything on it. So that part's taken care of. I'm going to get that on the stove and we'll be ready to start on the biscuits. Now I'm going to sift about anywhere from 5½ cups of flour. I want a little bit extra just in case. I really, under normal circumstances, you really don't have to sift, but if your flour has been sitting for a while, and this particular bag of flour has, it would definitely be very beneficial to go ahead, because you can see that it's clumping. So let's see if we can kind of get some of those clumps out. And that was one. For this recipe, we'll need about 4½ cups of sifted flour. But I won't measure until after I sift. This just puts air in it. Now, while this is happening, your butter that you're going to use for this recipe should be frozen. Your buttermilk should be ice cold. And in fact, if it's not, stick it in the freezer for a few minutes while you're sifting the flour, because you want all of the ingredients to be very, very, very cold. The colder they are, the better the layers are going to set up and the softer your biscuits are going to be. This is 3. Now, I'm going to finish up the sifting. I'm going to measure out 4½ cups of sifted flour, and then I'll bring you right back. I have measured out the 4½ cups of flour, and I've actually placed them in 2 containers because I only want to do one at a time. It's just going to be easier to do. Now, the first thing, you'll notice that I have this, and what we're going to do, we're going to take a stick of butter and we're going to grate that butter, but I had to leave it in the freezer until I was ready to use it. So let me take that butter out. I know I'll need 2, but I won't need 2 right now. My macaroni's on the stove, and grate. Going to grate my butter, and you're going to want to use the larger side of the grater. Just stick it right there in the bowl. Wrap your butter paper around it and let it roll. Now, I'm going to continue doing this because I don't think you need to see me grate a whole stick of butter. So I'm going to come back to you. When you get down to the little nub like this, just take a sharp knife and cut it up in little small pieces, little teeny tiny pieces, because if you really try to grate that small, then we're going to have some of your hand in the biscuits, and that's not exactly what we want. Okay, that's the first one. And I'm gonna get all the butter out. Don't want to leave any of that butter in there. Okay. Now, that's one. I'm just going to sit that there because I'll have to come back to that. All right, next thing we need, this is, remember, self-rising flour. So it has all the salt and the leavening agents that it needs. So I need to add 1 cup of ice cold water. So I'm going to measure my cup. Okay, that's in. I'm going to put this other cup back in the refrigerator where it's going to stay cold. I'm going to get a as flat as I can, spoon. I have a particular spoon that I like. I think I'll just use this spatula. And what we're going to do is that we're going to fold and fold until we get it good and mixed. Now, it probably will not all come together, but it's going to be pretty close. Let's see if I can bring you down a little closer. Okay, a little closer, and you'll see that you're just kind of bringing it together. We want to do this as quickly as possible so that we're keeping everything cold. And you'll see it's very crumbly. That's okay, because what we're going to do is that we're going to put it together and we're going to put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes or so to give it time for all the moisture to go through it. So let me get a piece of parchment paper, because that's where I'm going to turn it out onto the parchment. Okay, you probably have a little bit that's going to stick, but we're going to use the parchment to bring it together. Just very gently, you'll see it'll start to come together in a clump as the moisture is getting into it. Once you see that, then let's kind of fold it up, and I'm going to put it into the freezer. I'm going to sit it right in the freezer. Let me find a plate for it, or a bowl. Flip it over so it can stay in the freezer, come together for about 30 minutes. All right, this is the second batch of biscuits that I'm bringing together, and once I get them together, then I'll bring the other one out and we'll start to make our layers. You want to make layers. We like to purchase those nice flaky fluffy biscuits, so you have to have layers in order for that to happen. So we're going to work on those layers, and you don't want to press too hard if you're doing this. So I'm going to fold this one up, and I'm going to do a switch out. So hold on 1 second. Okay, this is the one that just came out of the freezer. I'm unfolding. And what we're going to do now is nice and chilled. And I'm going to sprinkle just a tiny bit of flour on it and also on my roller. Now, what I'm going to try to do, actually with the paper, is that I'm going to try to get it into a rectangle. And then very gently, and then I'm going to take the smaller end and fold it over. Notice how I folded it over. And then turn. That's the reason why I have this towel under here, because it makes it easy to turn. Then very gently make the second rectangle. Need a little more flour on the... Okay. And then we're going to turn it over and make another layer. Then we'll take a little more flour, just a little, just dust it. And we're going to make another layer. Don't want to do it too hard, very gently. And I know I didn't turn it, but that's okay. You really don't have to turn, but it's still pretty wet. So let's put some flour down there, and we're going to do that one more time. So let's go ahead and turn it. You can already see how flaky it is. I'm going to flip, pull a little flour down, and this is it. Now, these biscuits, I am not going to cook all of them. I'm only going to cook probably 4. And the rest of them, I'm going to put in the freezer on some parchment and into a Ziploc bag where they can stay, and I can just pull them out as I need them. So let me get my glass that I used to cut. It's just the right size. I love it. Dip it in some flour. And I'm going to start there we go. There's one. That's one for tonight. Two for tonight. Well, there may not be much of this one that's left for tonight, but we'll see. 3, and there's 4. All right. Now, when you cook these, you're going to put them on a 450 oven. Some people use 475. 450 works better for my oven. So you can decide. And since we will not waste any, they don't have to be perfectly shaped, but when you bake them, you want to have them close so they can kind of lay up against each other and rise. Okay, let's bring this back together. I think it may just about make one. Or one. I think I'll take one of these and put that there, and I'll take this one and make a baby one for me to taste once it's out of the oven. I'll put it in, and we'll bake the baby too. Okay, now we'll go to number 2. We'll do the same thing. We'll roll it out, only this time all of it will go into the freezer bag. We'll place the bag in the freezer, let them freeze real good, and then they are ready for any time you want to use them. Your biscuits are ready. Anytime you have company, what's the best thing to do? Always prepare anything that you can in advance. Whether that means chopping vegetables, whether that means, which I'll have quite a bit of that to do, lots of onions, lots of green peppers, lots of celery, and carrots as well. But anything that you can do in advance, you will want to do. And just freeze them. Put them in your freezer so that you'll have them ready. Just take out what you need and you're ready to go. Now, so I'm going to bake these biscuits, and when they're finished baking, I'll bring you back. Well, I'm getting ready to slather a little Land of Lakes over the top of my biscuits. They're so hot and they're so light. I just love it. So let that melt. Not going to open them yet. We'll do that at dinner. But here's my little baby one. Remember the one that was at the end? And I just kind of pulled everything all together. So I am going to have a taste. I'm going to take that little bit. I'm going to dip him in a little butter. And I'm going to take a bite. Oh man, there's nothing like hot biscuits straight out of the oven, slathered in butter. But let me tell you, I want you to see how flaky they are. They just come apart, and all those little layers. I love it. They are perfect. And I already know my grandbabies are going to love them. Grape jelly, butter, and the biscuit. Can't get any better. Lord have mercy. Keep this in mind. Today, we have worked hard in the kitchen. We love God. We love our family. And remember that everything else is just gravy. See you soon.
I don't like eating these. You're not supposed to eat those. It's fun to cut them out.
I had this Sunday morning the pleasures of exploring the animal life.
Savants are people with remarkable mental powers that defy explanation. With Susan Spencer this morning, we'll meet a few.
Alonzo Clemens is a savant. He can't read or write or
Give her a piece to cut.
clearly. What are you going to make?
Cut this. Wait.
Watch this.
But I want to play with that.
Cut this. It's not dough. It's not Play-Doh. I know.
Cut it. Cut it.
On Sunday morning.
There you go. There you go. Cut it. There you go.
Moriarty has questions about the so-called
Oh, this one's really sick.
Oh,
Need to record? Are you now? I can't stare.
There you go. Make it nice and creamy. It's got salt in there. I'm just saying what's in there. That's all. There you go. All right, you want to hold this? While she's stirring, because she can't really see her face, you can just see what she's doing. Keep going. Seasoning. We need some pepper.
We lost your security clearance, so what does that mean? People can't call you and talk to you about the job? Like, you know what I mean? Is that really the extent of what your security clearance was for? Was, that's what CIA directors are getting at. Then in some ways it's for current directors to be able to ask former directors their opinion about on certain things.
Yeah, well, for me, it probably does mean that, but I just can't go into the agency and have conversations with people who make money less than average for my boss and
What in the world? What do you put in there? Pepper?
That's a lot of pepper.
Apparently a lot.
Well, it didn't look like a lot. Let me stir it a little bit.
Mommy, can I go text?
You text on a phone, Lovey, not on a
What she
computer.
means
She
is-
wants to type.
Tina, come here. Come here. Tina, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here.
Can I just finish stirring, please?
You may. See how I'm
Tina,
sure the spoon's on
Christina.
the bottom.
Let me
You gotta do it a
Tina.
little more aggressive.
Let me this.
Can you see? Okay, there you go.
Not to do with that, be a party, but